Thanks for showing me that website.
Oh, that's alright. So start machine. So while that's starting, let's read the abstract. So this box is the first on TryHackMe to use dynamic flags. As such, it's very much in beta, so please report any bugs in the TryHackMe Discord. Read the following information carefully before continuing. When you complete the box, you'll find a flag at root/root.txt. This will not look like a regular TryHackMe flag. Everything in the file should be submitted as a flag, including any symbols or special characters. This flag will be different every time you deploy the box. Each flag can be used once, and it will expire after 6 hours, so make sure to submit it quickly. When you have retrieved the flag, do not submit it directly under TryHackMe answer field. Dynamic flag should be submitted to Flagmirland. This site is run by the room author, is not affiliated with TryHackMe. You will then be asked to submit 3 pieces of information: your username, box code, and the flag. This has already sounded dodge. Okay. When you submit all 3 pieces of information correctly, another flag will appear at the top of the page. This will be in the standard TryHackMe format, and you should submit this into the task below in order to complete the run. If there are any problems that arise around the process, ping them in Discord. And okay, so this room's already got some obtuse way of using it.
WTH?
Yeah. What the fuck?
Christy says,
Hey!
Like Sushi Heart 1.
How are you doing? Trying to bite.
They're trying to bypass any write-ups that just give flags.
Yeah. Because then it just stops people just coming along and sort of dropping them in and succeeding. Cool. So what is the URL of the website you should submit the things to? Yeah. It is proper weird though, like just getting you to leave the website. I'm surprised that TryHackMe actually allowed it to say like that you're allowed to visit. So like it's basically advertising, isn't it, for some random URL? A bit dodgy. Like this is what TryHackMe should be doing as standard, not sort of relying on a third party to do it. So in early 2021, a researcher named Kevin Backhouse discovered a 7-year-old privilege escalation vulnerability since designated CVE-2021-3560 in the Linux Polkit utility. Unfortunately, different distributions of Linux, even different versions of the same distribution, use different versions of the software, meaning that only some are vulnerable. Specifically, the following mainstream distributions alongside others were vulnerable, so Red Hat Linux 8, Fedora 21 or later, Debian Testing Bullseye, Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. All should now have released patched versions of their respective Polkit. However, if you encounter one of these distributions, it may still be vulnerable if it hasn't been updated for a while. For this run, we'll be focusing specifically on 2004. Canonical released a patch for their version of Polkit, which has version number 0.105-26 Ubuntu 1.1. Last vulnerable version available in the apt repositories for Focal Fossa is if you see this, you may be in luck. We can use apt list installed grep policy kit to check the version of Polkit.
Christy says,
Dodgy lol.
Dodgy. It is dodgy. Like you wouldn't expect so if you were like on Facebook and it said go to myspace.com and put your picture in there and then upload your picture back into Facebook. It's like random steps that get added in.
Nightbot says,
You can change your TDS voice here. Weblink.
So there's my Polkit.
Christy says,
Good they didn't send you on OnlyFans.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like submit your flag here, and it's actually just like you submit your flag and you just get that. You get an advert. Yeah, brilliant. So I get redirected by ad anyway. Great. Can't even rickroll everyone. Let's put my lights on. Alright, so
9 subscribers to go until we reach the goal of 15 and unlock new emote slots. Use those
New
codes
emote
that
slots.
if you have them. Implement Twitch votes.
Christy says.
Oh.
Translated from Romanian.
So what am I looking for? The policy kit now. 01. Okay, so yeah, I'm after 26 Ubuntu, so that's good. Good. My OS is safe. So what is Polkit?
Well, it's common in CTFS to go visit some dodgy sites and get flags.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it in a CTF, but it's just a bit strange to see it on TryHackMe. You'd think that they want you to not get taken off to some random place. So yeah, Polkit is part of the Linux authorization system. In effect, when you try to perform an action which requires a higher level of privilege, the policy toolkit can be used to determine whether you have the requisite permission. If it's integrated with systemd or systemd and is much more configurable than the traditional sudo system. Indeed, it is sometimes referred to as the sudo of systemd. When interacting with Polkit, we can use psexec instead of sudo as an example. Attempting to run the user add command through psexec in a GUI session results in a pop-up asking for credentials. So pkexec even. So no, don't want to do that anyway. In a CLI session, we get a text-based prompt instead. To summarize, the policy toolkit can be thought of as a fine-grained alternative to the simpler sudo system. So how is Polkit vulnerable? The next logical question, of course, is how can we exploit Polkit? The short answer is by manually sending dbus messages to the dbus daemon, effectively an API to allow different processes the ability to communicate with each other. Then killing the request before it has been fully processed, we can trick Polkit into authorizing the command. If you're not familiar with daemons, then they are effectively background services running on Linux. The dbus daemon is a program running in the background which brokers messages between applications. For the sake of keeping this room relatively light, we won't go too deep into specifics behind this, although reading the full article on the vulnerability is highly recommended. Effectively, the vulnerability can be boiled down to these steps. So number 1, the attacker must manually send the dbus message to the accounts daemon requesting the creation of a new account with sudo permission, or laterally a password to be set for the new user. This message gets given a unique ID by the dbus daemon. Number 2, the attacker kills the message after Polkit receives it, but before Polkit has a chance to process the message. This effectively destroys the unique message ID. Polkit asks the bus daemon for the user ID of the user who sent the message, referencing the now deleted message ID. The dbus daemon can't find the message ID because it was deleted and killed in step 2. It handles the error by responding with an error code. Polkit mishandles the error and substitutes in 0 for the user ID, which is root, and the root account of the machine. So then step 6, thinking that root is the user that requested the action, Polkit allows the request to go through completely unchallenged. In short, the destroying of the message ID before the dbus daemon has a chance to give Polkit the correct ID, we exploit the poor error handling in Polkit to trick the utility into thinking the request was made by the all-powerful root user. If this doesn't make sense now, hopefully it will by the chance you've had a chance to perform the exploit yourself. In what version of Ubuntu's Polkit is the thing patched. So this was up here. Let's just grab a copy. The last version vulnerable is that. What program can we use to run commands as other users via Polkit? As pkexec. Cool, so tutorial or exploitation process. We've seen the theory, now let's see it in action. So let's try to add a user called attacker with sudo permissions and a password of exploited. Just read this information for now, you have time to try it in the next task. So first, take a look at the dbus message we need to send. So dbus-send system destination counts, type method call, print reply, string attacker, string pentester account init. This command will manually send a dbus message to the accounts daemon, printing the response and creating a new user called attacker with the description of pentester account and membership of the pseudo group set to true, which is referenced by the int32.1 flag. Our second dbus message will set a password for the new account. So we do dbus send system, enter user ID, set password string, password hash, string us the pentester. This once again sends the dbus message to accounts daemon, requesting the password change for the account for the user with ID specified in red, and a password hash, which we'll need to generate manually, and a hint. As this is effectively a race condition, we need to determine how long our command will take to run. Let's try this with the first dbus message. So we time it. This takes 0.011 seconds or 11 milliseconds. This number will be slightly different each time you run the command, however on the provided machine it should always be around this number. Note that for the first 5 minutes or so of deployment, the machine is still booting things in the background. Don't be alarmed if it takes longer to get on to begin with. Just keep running the command periodically until it gives you a time in similar region. We need to kill the command approximately halfway through the execution. 5 milliseconds usually works fairly well. However, be aware this is not an exact thing. You'll need to change the sleep time or run the command several times before it works. That said, once you find a time that works, it should work consistently. If you're struggling to get a working time, putting the command inside a bash for loop and quickly running it through a range of times tends to work fairly well. So let's try this. We need to send the dbus message, then kill it halfway through. So we send the message, and then we do a command chain sleep kill. Okay, to explain the above command, we sent the debug message in the background using the ampersand and told it to sleep for 5 milliseconds and then kill the process. Successfully created a new user, adding them to the pseudo group. We should note down at this point that the user ID of the new user in this instance is 1000. Now we need to do is give the user a password. We should be good to go. So we get a password hash here. Let's generate a SHA-512 crypt hash for our chosen password. Using OpenSSL, we generate a password of type 6, which is a SHA-512 crypt, and our plain text exploited. And then we finish this. So 5 millisecond worked last time, so let's use it again here. And we do su attacker password, and then you log in as to run a command as admin user root, use sudo command. Cool. So with a hop, su, and sudo, we have root. Cool. So let's actually do it. So SSH try hack me 33.153.3 try hack me. No. Oh, it's caps. Try hack me 1, 2, 3, bang. There we go. I'm in. So, can we just use their same examples? I don't want to like craft my own. Right, so we just copy that. That didn't look like it worked. My machine's pretty speedy, so let's see how long this takes. Okay. Cool. Oh, it did work then. I'm just being an idiot. ID attacker. Yeah, cool. So we set a password, so we need to do this one.
Chad_NOOB says.
The CCNA is a solid course. They have taken some of the luster off, but not much.
I never did my CCNA. I did, that was a private chat. Wrong chat.
That was a private chat.
Yeah, I never, just speaking out loud, I did my Network Plus, the CompTIA, like ages and ages ago. But yeah, I never ever went beyond that, so yeah, I should probably do a CCNA at some point.
Glad it wasn't saucy.
MSec says.
Oh, if only it was saucy. Or a password.
Lottykins says.
MSec Happy Musk.
Alright, so set password. So now we SU into attacker. Password is exploited. Fourth failure. EXPL01TED. Ah, there we go. Let's move this up so it's actually in the middle of the screen, not the bottom. Alright, so then we do... Who am I?
The trash man says.
So now I'm logged in as... I logged in as TryHackMe. I've SU'd into Attacker, the new account we created, and then I SU again. And then exploited. And now, because I was in the sudoers group, I can now do all my commands as root. So here am I. Nice. And then we do cat root.txt. And get the nice zesty dodgy flag. So dodgy flag, MSec, box code, Polkit. There we go. So if I put this in, yay! Cool. Stop.